You know, one of the silver linings to what's been happening around the world lately is I think we've got a lot better at connecting with people over Zoom, and it gives us a chance to talk to a lot of the artists that I know you guys love to hear and that provide so much entertainment but also encouragement into our lives as well. And so with that in mind, I am very, very excited to be able to speak to Danny Gokey. Danny, hello.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me on the show this morning.
Hey, no
It's
problem.
morning, correct, in Australia?
It's afternoon for us right now, so we're in New Zealand, so we're about 1:30 in the afternoon.
Goodness. I've been doing all Australian. I'm happy to be in New Zealand. Let me just say that. Thank you.
What time
Finally
is it?
shifted over. I was waiting for New Zealand.
Exactly. It's suddenly like, man, I just feel a little bit lighter, a little bit happier in my spirit. Something's different about this moment, and now you know what it was.
It is because I'm in New Zealand now. It's quite a journey that I've been on a long road trip this morning doing interviews all over down in this part of the world.
Yeah, no doubt. So what's it been like for you? Because I was looking at some of your earlier interviews and taking a look at how you've been traveling around a bit. And I suppose for the last year or so, you've kind of been in this place where you seem like you've been hyper industrious with like touring all over the place. And then you had like a whole year more or less where you couldn't do that. So how's that been for you?
Yeah. Man, in the beginning, it honestly was like, oh no, what's going to happen? All the touring's canceling. And then I was like, why have I been touring so much? What was I thinking? This is the best. Because it puts you in the mind frame. Like, think about it. Like when you're so frazzled and running around and, like you just start missing some things,
Yeah.
right? And I started realizing that I like being around my kids and I don't like traveling as much as I thought I did,
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to create a balance.
No doubt. It's kind of never-ending challenge, right? It's like you focus on one thing, and then it's redirecting the energy as you go. Are they able to travel with you very often, though? Your family?
Yeah, they can. But now that I'm a family of 4 kids and my wife, 6 of us, that takes up half the space on a bus, and I need all this. It's very challenging to do that. And so, man, I'll tell you this: I'm reconfiguring how I look at touring and how I do music. Now I've been releasing a lot of more music and in the studio more, and I feel like I can be more impactful by writing more and releasing more songs. Like for instance, I've been releasing music in all of Latino America, and I'm like really enjoying that. And hopefully there'll be some abilities to go tour over there and go over to Australia. Like this morning, I know I botched the call right away by saying I was in Australia, but I was in Australia. I promise you, I did about 5 interviews in Australia, and I'd love to get over there, and then come over to New Zealand. It's like now I feel like I'm being more like I'm getting more ideas on how can I get to all these different parts and not kill myself.
Yeah, no, that would be great if you could, keep yourself alive. I think would be. I think a lot of people would be happy with that effort. Why don't we talk about the music then, man? Because again, it's been strange times for people, and that produces different kind of inspiration as well. So what's been different for you about this time, and how do you think it's come out in the music that you've been creating?
Well, it's caused me to begin to spend more time writing and not be rushed through the writing process, which
Okay.
I've actually really enjoyed. There's been times where we've been cramming albums in and cramming touring in and cramming baby birthdays in and cramming in time with the wife, cramming in time with the church and serving, like all these different things. And I love that I was able to slow down and begin to just really I've taken my time on this album, and I hope it translates that way when I release it.
And can I say too, just from a personal taste point of view, I love the gospel flair, the vibe that's been coming through in your music over the last little while. I'm of the opinion that there's not a song in the world that isn't improved by a gospel choir.
Dude, I'm with you 100%. Listen, why do we want to strip back music when like the soul comes through choir? Listen,
Yeah.
and it's not just me like I grew up singing in choirs, and I grew up in gospel choirs and so like this is just who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, like, Happy Birthday, gospel choir, National Anthem, gospel choir, that'd be great. Even maybe like Beethoven.
Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Yeah, the gospel choir.
Gospel choir.
Exactly. So like that's what it needed this whole time.
Yes.
So what can we talk about with the new album then that is on the way? Do we have a release date yet, or anything you can tell us about
Yes.
what we can look forward to?
So we haven't revealed it yet, but I'll reveal it to you guys. The album is called Jesus People.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of kickback from from teams, because you're like, hey, this is gonna be, people are gonna push away from this. It's too controversial. But the heart of this, I wrote a song called Jesus People. And literally the heart of the song is like, for thousands of years, thousands of people have been singing one name, It started with 12 who were crazy enough to leave everything, misfits and doubters, outcasts and outcasts and doubters, kind of like you and me. But anyway, it's like Jesus People all around the world, stand up, let it be known. We're the people that can bring healing to the world. So that's the idea of the song. It's not supposed to be controversial, but that's the heart of the record. So this hat I'm wearing is called We All Need Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first song we released from the album back in April.
Yeah.
So I did it in Spanish, Cristo es Necesario, featuring Christine Di Clario, and in English, featuring Corinne Hawthorne. And so I got a song called Stand in Faith, which is just so powerful. And I got all kinds of a song, Agradecido, which means grateful in Spanish. And there's just some flavors coming out.
I love that. I love that so much. And again, because we've been playing, We All Need Jesus for a while on our station here as well. And it's been really cool. It's funny with a title like that. I've found on my own faith journey, it's amazing how much, as I've kind of gone through my journey, you realize you're really trying to relearn the same lesson over and over again. You go through challenges, you're like, oh, this is just a reminder of how much I need Jesus. You think it's about some other big thing, and then you come back to, oh, no, wait, it's about that again.
Well, it is, because the whole We All Need Jesus premise is that, you know what, I'm going to stop pointing a finger at you and stop judging you, because you know what, I make so many mistakes. I only have time to judge myself and try to get it right with the help of God. And I think that's like the biggest thing that we are falling into right now, is that people are a lot of problems because we're judging each other. You're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. When we finally realize you need Jesus, I need Jesus, my righteousness is like filthy rags in the sight of God. So I'm no good without God. You're no good. Let's just all get to that place where we just focus on ourselves and just try to help each other.
Yeah, I love that, because it's, for me, it has been, moving away from competing over the stuff that I'm doing with other people or compared to other people versus just being like, but you know what? If anything, for me, I kind of remind myself that I'm probably, there's no more risky point in your faith, right? Than when you feel like, I've got it. I've got this thing down.
Right.
I'm good, right?
Yeah, that is the riskiest part, because what does the Bible say? Be careful that those who think they stand fall, right? And it's one of those things that if we're not every day reaching in, to God and saying, I need you today, even though things are going good, I feel good, I need you. I'm still just as desperate for you today as I was when I first invited you into my life.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. And so for you, what do you still find? You've been in this business for a while now as well, and there's always going to be a lot of things that are fighting for your attention, and it's kind of a challenging world to exist in. So what do you find still so rewarding in it for you that kind of keeps you coming back to it? What keeps it fresh and genuine for you?
Oh man, with regards to the whole music and writing music, it's that God is the greatest songwriter that there's ever been. God is the greatest lyricist that's ever been. And even though I feel like I've had some big songs in the past, I can always go back to that fountain and say, I know, God, you got more. And I want to be a ready hand, a writer with your hand guiding me, right?
Yeah.
And that makes me excited to dig in and say the best songs are still yet to be written. And so I like that challenge.
That's a real word, I think, too, for those of us who've got that creative vibe about us too. There's a psalm, and again, I'm going to butcher where this is in the Bible and exactly the words of it, but it's got this idea of saying, all the dancers and singers say, all of our springs are in you. It's this idea that I am not the source of my own creativity, right? It's that I can have an idea. And, as a creative, it can be really hard when you come up with an idea for maybe a song or a book or something, and somebody else doesn't love it, and you're like going, oh, but to me, to be reminded that actually I'm not the ultimate source, right? That's kind of what this is about.
Yeah. And I had to learn that through experience, because I just coming off a really well done, a really successful record called Hope in Front of Me. It was my first record, and I mean, Tell Your Heart to Beat Again is almost platinum. Hope in Front of Me is almost gold. And I remember thinking like, how do I match that? Like it was daunting walking back to the studio and say, how do I do that again? But that's when the idea was like, wait, God has unlimited songs, and like these songs could pale in comparison to what he has for me in this next album. And that just gives me hope to keep writing and digging in.
I love that. I love that because I do find, even for honestly with what I do, there's that sense of when you've done anything that's done well, and sometimes it makes you like kind of risk averse, right? You're like, I don't want to try a thing that's maybe, what if the next one doesn't do as well? And it's just not the best creative space to get into.
Yeah, and in all reality, my Rise record didn't do as well as Hope in Front of Me. But then all of a sudden, I came out with Haven't Seen It Yet record. And that record is riding the heels of Hope in Front of Me. And so it's like, wow. And it's, although Rise was a successful record, very successful. Like I shouldn't say it wasn't. It just didn't hit the plateaus of the last one. But I remember making it through the Rise record and saying, oh, there is more. And even after that, then I'm hitting a new plateau. And so I'm just, one of the greatest things you can do is dedicate your artwork to God. Whatever you do, think about this. God is not only the best artist and songwriter, he's the best engineer. He's the best painter. He's the best mom, best dad. Like whatever you need him to be, he's the best at, and you can become the second best at it.
Wow. That's super encouraging. I love that. So it makes me think of, what was it, Paul's words that talks about, godliness with contentment is great gain.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you nailed it, because when we realize that our identity is in him and not what we do, and that's where I think Paul was. He's like, I'm content because I'm a child of God. I may not, it's funny because we look at Paul as really successful, right? But in his day, if we lived with Paul, we'd be like, that guy's a failure of a pastor.
Right.
He's a failure. He spent most of his time in jail. So I would just say we need to really rethink what we think success is too, by the way.
Yeah. And what does that mean for you for your faith now as well? Like, I mean, using a term to be a successful Christian is probably the wrong way to say this, but yeah, I think you get where I'm going, right? Like when we look at, again, if I say for myself, when I used to look at how am I doing, I would think of it in terms of, again, how many times am I at church? How many times am I serving? Maybe how much am I giving and that kind of stuff. So what does it look like for you now? How has that changed?
Well, it's interesting. I'll give you kind of maybe I shouldn't be sharing this, but I'll just share it. I was just doing some shows this past weekend, and I remember I was doing a show in Miami, and this is what I literally thought. I thought, man, I feel like I'm being kind of prideful up here and being a little bit, I just was feeling uncomfortable in my own skin. But the old Danny would be like, oh, I got to repent in my heart while I'm doing this show, and I got to beg God to just help me get over myself. But you know what I did? I said, God, without you, I'm helpless. And in this moment, you still are my righteousness. You still see me as you see Christ because of what Jesus did. And I just embrace that. And I don't like how I feel right now up here, but I embrace that you're my righteousness, that because I'm planted in you and grounded in you, that fruit is coming out of this. And so basically I took the focus off of me on what I need to repent, or maybe what I need to change when I get home, and what do I need to do to get out of this? What if this just dominoes into something new? And I just said, I embrace your righteousness. And it's the most relieving thing, because what makes us think that once we receive Jesus, now we got to work this all out?
Yeah.
Here's what I learned. It was faith that took me to accept what he did on the cross. And it's going to be faith to help me walk. I received by faith is salvation. Now I'm going to receive by faith how to grow. If I'm sick, I'm going to receive by faith healing. There's nothing that I need to do except posture myself in faith and receive what's already been done. It's not striving.
It's almost like we all need Jesus, bro.
Boom. We'll be right back to that.
Tie in. There we go. Hey, Danny, before we go.
But it was a breakthrough for me. You know?
Oh, no doubt.
It really was a breakthrough for me in that moment. But anyways.
Yeah. No, but that's an amazing thing. Finding, I mean, for myself, finding that in those moments when I almost felt like these are the least likely moments where I'm going to find Jesus, are actually the most likely moments, right?
Yeah. Isn't that, you nailed it, because we think we're not good enough in that moment, but he makes us good. What a great point.
Yeah. Well, I have them occasionally. Hey, Danny, before you go, what more can we look forward to with this album? Do we have a release date or more that you can tell us before you go? Because I know there's going to be a lot of people who want to follow the journey on this new album.
So what people can do is they can go find We All Need Jesus. That came out in April. Cristo es Necesario came out in April as well. Stand in Faith is out now too on Spotify, Apple. They're all on YouTube. I'm releasing June 25th a song called He Believes in You. God spoke to me some years ago, and literally, not an audible voice. I felt this come up my spirit. I believe in you when I was in a dark season. So I wrote a song June 25th, another song called Agradecido. We have basically a few songs coming out, and then August 20th, the whole album drops. And so I'm excited for people to hear that.
Oh, well, we look forward to hearing it as well. Danny, thank you for making time, and thank you for bringing us into your kitchen. It's a real test of a relationship when somebody's in the house with you. So, hey, it's been a treat, Danny. Thanks again, man.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
My pleasure. Care.